Hi students, my name is Professor Purdy and I will be teaching the ID 3104 QUP course this summer. It's one of the courses through the SOUP program. I also teach the ID 3103 course, which focuses on 2D sets of tools. This one will focus on 3D modeling and rendering and animation, and how to do that in one particular program, and that is Fusion 360 that we'll be using. So let me give you an overview of some of the assignments, talk a little bit more about the software, and then talk about some typical questions that come up. And let me cover that in this video. So our first assignment is going to be actually going in. We've got to learn the basics of solid modeling. So we're going to be modeling a chess set, kind of a classic example or a classic assignment. So it's good for design aspects because you take one basic form and then look at how to express it slightly different for the different chess pieces and all. So that's good for that. But then you also get exposed to just the other set of basic solid modeling tools, the traditional modeling tools. So that's going to be the first one. Our next one is to actually render that, so that you apply materials, you look at lighting and shadows and so forth, and then go through and render it. And in Fusion, it actually has built into it a pretty decent rendering program. Let me show you some other examples of finished renderings here. Here's one with a different board, and we'll explore in this assignment different board designs as well. So that's one example. Here's another one. Kind of similar concept, but more how we do something like that has the kind of twisting pieces around the edges and all. And then here's another rendering. Here's kind of more finished rendering, and you can see that you get a pretty realistic materials and lights and shadows and so forth. This is all within Fusion that has a pretty decent rendering program in it. So that's what we'll take a look at, and that's what you'll get to do is take your second assignment and go out and render it. Okay. The third assignment jumps into a very unique set of tools that are part of Fusion, and that is this whole sculpting or T-spline. Let me pull back over to the modeling side. So this is kind of like a separate workspace. So right now, this is currently a solid object. Let me show you real quickly with section analysis. Find the right origin. There we go. So you can see they're solid forms here that it's rendering out as. Let me turn that off, and then I will back up into this T-spline form and edit here. And so now what we're actually looking at, and if I turn that analysis back on, these are T-spline forms which are hollow. They're kind of like surface geometry, but they have this unique property. And if you've done any sculpting in let's say a program like Maya or 3D Studio Max, polygon modeling is very similar concept. So let me tell it to upgrade that, and then hit this, so we can come in and quickly sculpt this and do some really interesting geometry changes and so forth by just grabbing the right kind of element there. Let me do that part, and really do some really creative modeling and all with this. So that's what we're going to look at as part of our third assignment, is how to model with that. The fourth assignment is a little bit more involved assignment. We're going to look at how to model building off of existing geometry. So here's the parts that I'll give you, and then you'll come up with your own body that will basically surround that. And let me turn on one of the section views there, so you can see that you keep all that interior detail. This is Fusion's version of assembly, and then you'll sculpt your own form. We'll look at how surfaces can be used to sculpt geometry like this as well, similar to T-splines but different in its own way. Okay, so that's going to be our fourth assignment. Our fifth one is really cool in that we're going to work with scan data. Now, unfortunately, since you're not on campus, you probably won't get to come down and get something scanned, and I don't think they're open over the summer anyway, but maybe in the fall you can drop by and have this. It's open. Any student can come by and do this, get a part of you scanned, and then you can build geometry to it in a program like Fusion. So here's one example. I kind of created these cross sections off of the scan data, then I built a surface, and then I use this to create this shape here, which very closely follows the scan data. That's one example. Here's another example of you get your head scan. Here's mine. And then I built this series of goggles that kind of custom fits that head that you see there. So we'll look at how to do that. So that's a quick overview of the assignments. Basically one per week. So if you look at the schedule there, you'll see that the different ones that we cover each week as far as that. Like I mentioned, we're going to be using a program called Fusion 360 to do all this work in. As for students, it's free. It's a really neat CAD tool that's really kind of, I think, changed or turned the CAD world upside down. As a student, you can get it for free, and then after you graduate, you can continue using it for like developing it in your own startup company or something like that until you make over $100,000 in sales, and then you actually got to pay for it. So not a bad deal on that part. All right, so one last thing that I wanted to cover. I always get this question, and believe me, I understand. It's the summer. You're going to be traveling. You're going to be vacationing. You're going to be long weekends down at the beach, or got an internship, or I had last summer somebody was biking across Europe. You know, this will be offered during the first shortened summer session, the first 5 weeks. So here's the deal. During that time, I will be available. You'll have a whole series of videos to cover all this that we've shown, and example files here that I'll give you access to in Fusion. But I will be available like during the week. I'll try to answer emails within 24 hours. On the weekend, I'll have them ready for you first thing Monday morning, or maybe sometime over the weekend. We'll see. So that's my commitment for the first 5 weeks. If you need to extend any of the assignments out and push out their deadlines beyond that, you can do that. That's not a problem. What you give up is me supporting you on a more regular basis. I might still be able to get to it, but I'm going to have other things going on during after those first 5 weeks. So that's kind of the trade-off. You have to have everything done by the end of the second shortened summer session, got everything turned in at that point, but otherwise you got that flexibility when you get it done. It's a video-based series of course, so I feel like it should give you that flexibility. All right, so hope you're still interested, hope you sign up, and if you do, I look forward to meeting you in a few weeks, and if not, hopefully next summer you can consider it as well. Thanks so much.